Hi, I'm Plami. If you're a fan of Power Rangers and you're not watching this season, you're really missing out on it. Like, seriously, I'm a person who loves Power Rangers, who watched it as a kid, and who generally likes the idea of it and the tone and the things that it does. But ever since the rights were bought back by Saban and we got the new Saban era, the only season that I enjoyed out of that was Samurai, and only barely because it was the first time in my teenage years that I got into Power Rangers again. Because before that, it was back when I was like 5 years old when I watched Power Rangers. It was like half a decade prior to when Samurai was released, so it was kind of mainly the reason why I enjoyed it so much was mainly nostalgic. But now that Hasbro has the right of Power Rangers, and with this season especially, it's fucking good. Like, genuinely, it's good. Um, I didn't expect for it to keep my attention because I did try to watch Beast Morphers as well. I watched the first episode, and I definitely saw the improvements over the previous Neo Saban seasons, but it didn't really feel entertaining enough for me to keep watching it. This show, on the other hand, I kind of am trying to stop myself from even watching it, and I'm even considering maybe doing reactions for it because it's that fucking good. Like, seriously, it's compared to other recent seasons, it's mind-blowingly good. To me, it's harkening back to how much I love the seasons from the Disney era. It's in some ways even better. Like, there's so much I want to talk about for this recent episode of it. And seeing that I even enjoyed this one, I'm most likely going to keep doing these reviews going forward because I'm really enjoying it. Like, I did not expect to, but I really am enjoying it. And of course, there are some stupid stuff and some annoying stuff that are continuing from the Neo Saban era, like the stupid comedy shtick by two comic relief characters. We still have that, even though the showrunner supposedly said that that was not going to be the case. But still, they're only featured for like 2 minutes of the episode, and if you skip them over, you can easily skip them over. Which is what I do, so it doesn't really ruin my enjoyment of the episode too much, but I still wish they weren't in the episode. But again, there's more of the comedy that is actually spread around the characters that we actually care about, like the Ranger characters. So that definitely helps with me overlooking the comedic duo shtick. And yeah, in this episode, if you don't want to be spoiled, as I said, go and watch the episode. You can easily find it on YouTube, even though it's a little bit cut around, so I don't think there's much of the fight sequence, but you can still find it on YouTube, get the gist of it. And at least the coolest scene in the episode is going to be in the videos on YouTube. But yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled, go watch it. But in this episode, we get introduced to two more Rangers, the Green Ranger and the Black Ranger. Personally, I would have preferred if we had the team of three for a little longer, because it's like the fourth episode. We still haven't really set up that much of a status quo for the three characters, and we already have two more Rangers coming in. And especially in universe, it's been 3 episodes, but it's kind of been maybe like 2-3 days as well, because the first 2 episodes are kind of like a two-parter. At least they feel like two-parter to me. So it doesn't feel like a lot of time has passed, and yet we're already getting 2 more Rangers. But it's not really a big deal because they are great. The new characters are great. Like, again, I did not expect to care about the characters so much. And again, I've tried to watch other seasons of Power Rangers from the recent ones, but this is the first time that I genuinely am interested in the characters and what is happening. Like, I'm genuinely engaged by it, which I honestly can't believe that's the case. I think that just speaks volume for how good it is, that it's able to keep my attention as a 20-year-old and that I'm enjoying it. But yeah, it is really great. For the first 3 episodes, I think the acting was a little wooden when it came to the Rangers, which is something I was a little worried about, whether it was going to improve or not. And I think it's safe to say that it is actually improved in this episode, which As I saw some people, I believe it was on Reddit, talking about that in most seasons of Power Rangers, in the first few episodes, the actors are a little wooden because they haven't really grown into their characters, and the more we keep going, the better it's gonna get. And yeah, I agree with that case, because the three Rangers that we got introduced to already in the previous 3 episodes, honestly, I didn't really feel like there was any moment in which they were wooden. Especially even for Zaito, the Red Ranger, who I thought was a little wooden in the first 3 episodes, even though it kind of makes sense for his characters to be a little socially inept and stuff. But he felt a little wooden and emotionless. But in this episode, he's actually pretty fine. And the newly introduced Rangers have the same problem that I had with the first three. Where they are feeling still a little wooden, but again, that pretty much shows that it's something that happens when the Rangers are introduced, and then in like the next 2 or 3 episodes it's gonna get better. Which makes sense that that's gonna be the case, because for a lot of these actors, it's probably their first biggest role or whatever, so it makes sense for them to be a little restrained, I guess you could say. Because even with like doing stuff on YouTube, like even for YouTube videos, a lot of people are very scared and wooden and shy when they start doing videos. Like you can even go back and check out my videos to see how I barely speak out and my voice barely raises, but now I'm very bombastic with my voice. So it makes sense, and I don't want to really hold it against the actors or anything. But yeah, we get introduced to the two Rangers in this episode, and honestly, I think they're great additions to the cast that we had so far. And I love that they're continuing to have the characters' personalities and traits still be a thing and not be just a one episode mention, because it does happen for a lot of the new Saban seasons, I feel like. Again, I haven't really watched them that much to be able to tell. I've only watched reviews like Lin Kara's reviews or the Disney Brains reviews of them, so I don't really have a first-hand experience of those seasons. But I feel like for a lot of those seasons, something would be introduced about a character in an episode and kind of forgotten for the most part in other episodes. But right now, so far, I think the personalities of the Rangers and their traits are still a thing. We'll see how much that's gonna change going forward, but so far I'm satisfied. So yeah, I guess let's get into the Ranger characters who get introduced in this episode. We have, I believe, Javi Garcia, is that his name? The Black Ranger, and Easy Garcia, the Green Ranger. Yes, they are brother and sister. And honestly, I think that's really cool to see. I don't really remember whether we had something like this before. I think the last time that we had a brother and a sister duo Rangers, was it back with In Space with the Red Ranger and the Pink Ranger, the person who later became the Pink Ranger. I mean, I'm not sure, it's been a long time since that season. Again, I haven't really watched most Power Ranger seasons through myself. I've only watched reviews of them. I do plan of reacting to them at some point in the future, but it's probably going to be far in the future, because I recently started doing reactions to 3 cartoons, and I'm not doing anything else until I'm finished with those 3 cartoons, and even after that I have plans for other cartoons that I want to react to, so it's probably gonna happen at some point in the future, but a long time from now. Although, if I see a lot of people enjoying these reviews, or if there is demand for me to react to Power Rangers, maybe I could think of something and maybe start doing them little by little at least, because with the last video that I did on this season, where I did a review, it got a surprising amount of views for these kind of videos, because usually my thoughts on videos get no more than 20 something views, but that video got like 60 views, and I'm assuming and expecting that this video is gonna get a lot of views as well. So maybe if you guys want me to, I could start doing it, but I don't know. Although keep in mind that the furthest back that I am willing to go in terms of watching these the seasons of Power Rangers is most likely either Lost Galaxy or Lightspeed Rescue might be the furthest back that I'm willing to go, because I have an interest to check out Lightspeed Rescue, but those seasons back then are very old, with very bad special effects. Like, even for the time they would be pretty bad, and I feel like it's just not gonna be really super engaging at that point. Like, I'm definitely not going back to watch the original Mighty Morphin 3 seasons, because that's way too further back, and it's very much nonsense and not really overarching plot or anything. So I think the furthest back I'm willing to go is Lightspeed Rescue, so keep that in mind when commenting whether you want me to start doing reactions or not. But yeah, let's get back to the characters. I'm really enjoying them. I feel like at first when I saw them, the Black Ranger character, the brother, had a little bit more of a personality right off the bat. And then maybe it was a little blunder until they morphed. While I would say it's the opposite for the sister, where when you first meet her, she is kind of bland, but when she morphs, she becomes probably my favorite character so far, because her personality is just kind of exploded, and I really enjoy that. So their introduction was actually pretty fine, and I think they're going to be great additions to the cast so far. And again, I'm surprised by myself by how much I'm actually enjoying these characters, and I give a shit about them. This is the first time since Overdrive that I'm genuinely invested into the characters and the show and everything. And keep in mind, back to when I watched Overdrive, I was like 7 years old maybe. So it was a long time ago. It was like 13 years ago. But yeah, I really love the attention to detail in this season, where the show doesn't have to acknowledge a lot of stuff, because it's Power Rangers. We're willing to look past those stuff to enjoy for the sake of enjoying the show, but it really goes out of its way to explain or just mention certain things that probably nobody would have cared about if they didn't. Like, for example, whenever Javi and Easy end up morphing into the Black and Green Ranger, a lot of people some people might have questioned why Easy is not wearing a skirt, because in the original Super Sentai season the Green Ranger is a guy, while in this one it's female. And the show doesn't really have to mention the fact that she should have a skirt because she's a female and the other female ranger on the team has a skirt. But because of the nature of self-awareness in these seasons and the jokes and everything, it fits perfectly fine for her to just rip the skirt off as she does in the episode. And by the way, that's gonna be one of the most iconic scenes of Power Rangers ever. It was really cool, it was really fun, and with her personality it definitely fits. And in that scene where she rips the skirt off, it just, from that point onwards, her personality fucking explodes, and I love it. And that goes into my favorite scene of the episode and the best fighting sequence. I mean, honestly, I don't really have anything to compare it to. I haven't watched a lot of the recent seasons, so I don't know if there's better sequences, but that was one of the best sequences that I have ever seen for sure. Because it was literally the brother-sister duo just mowing down the foot soldiers, and it was freaking amazing. The sister throws her sword to her brother, and he just going around mowing everybody with the two swords, and that was really fucking cool to see. And then the sister grabs, I think it's like a throwing pole that should throw a spear. I think it was like throwing spear or something, even though where the hell did she get it in that scene, I'm not exactly sure, because those spears were in a field earlier, first when we met the sisters, so I don't know how she got that, but it was really cool how she threw the sword to her brother, and I was like, what the hell was she going to fight with? And then she grabbed that spear and just started fucking smacking them with the spear, and it was so cool, so fast-paced. The music, again, was really cool. And her personality in that fighting sequence was freaking through the roof. How she just made jokes that were actually funny and fought them off without her weapon. Like, that was really fucking cool to see. And then There was Javi, who made a really fun joke when the creature of the week, the Sporix, that's what they're called in this season, uh, ends up growing, and he jokes that, well, it wasn't going to shrink, which is, again, really fun and self-aware way to explain that. Because, yeah, of course, it kind of logically makes sense that it's gonna grow bigger and not gonna shrink. And it's cool, it's really cool. Whew. Yeah, this was a really cool episode. Although I still kind of feel weird about the main villain, or what seems to be the main villain, because usually in Power Rangers, we don't really get the main villain to be the kind of villain who does the job themselves. Like, the villain in this show seems to be Void Knight, and he basically feels like Korak from Mystic Force. And if you remember, Korak wasn't the big bad of that season. He was just lucky that Rangers ended up fighting quite a lot. And it's weird to have him in this series, basically, in a main villain role, even though it's cool because it means that the main villain is not gonna be something who sits on their ass and drinks booze all the time like Master Xandret from Samurai. But it feels a little weird because I'm so used to have the big bad be a lazy boss and not really the person who goes and does the work themselves, you know. Although that means that the villain is better in this season, the main villain is gonna be better, but it just feels a little weird for me, and I feel like we're still not really getting the main threat. We're still just dealing with like one of the factions. But yeah, I don't know where we're gonna go with that. Also, another funny joke in the episode, one of the slime creatures, who is like the comic relief for the villain, I guess, has a really fun line where she screams, "It's morphine slime," and that's a really funny pun. I really love that. All in all, like, this season is off to a really good start, and it's easily gonna be one of my favorite seasons ever, for sure, Especially because I remember a little bit from when I was a child. One of my first memories was watching Power Rangers, and especially it was Power Rangers Ninja Storm, which, for those of you who don't know, it's a very jokey and self-aware season, very much like this one. Maybe a little more, because I still prefer the vibe of Ninja Storm more than this, but the fact that it's so reminiscent of Ninja Storm in this way, and it definitely adds to how much I'm enjoying this, because it goes back to the first Power Rangers ever that I watched. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. For this episode, I'm honestly willing to give it 9.4 out of 10. I mean, again, don't really compare the scores that I give to this show if I'm going to keep doing the scores and the reviews going forward. Don't compare it to other shows, because just because I give an episode of Power Rangers a 10 out of 10 doesn't mean that the episode of The Walking Dead that I watched recently is worse or anything. But in the realm of this show, I'm going to give this episode a 9.4 out of 10. It was really fun. It was the action sequences were actually really cool, because I think a lot of the action sequences in this episode specifically were original and not from the Sentai, and I feel like it really showed, because I feel like in the first, or no, it was the second episode, when the Rangers were fighting one of the Sporix, there was a certain cut in the episode where they changed the location at which they were fighting completely, and I felt like I missed a scene or something, and it felt really weird. While in this episode, there was nothing like that, and there were some really cool shots in the background where you can see the three Rangers fighting the Sporix, while we are seeing the American actors for the Green and Black Ranger. I think they were holding their Dino keys or something. So it was really cool to just see them fighting in the background. It was really fun. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. It was a great introduction to the two new Rangers. Although, again, I would have preferred if we got a little bit more development for the first three and then we moved on to the other two. But I guess we're going to get another Ranger down the line anyway. I just feel like if this season is going to have 2 seasons, as every single Neo Saban era season has had, because they're still contractually obligated due to it airing on Nickelodeon. If you're gonna do that, and you're most likely gonna introduce the Sixth Ranger either late in first season or most likely second season, why don't you just introduce the Sixth Ranger in the second season while you introduce the other two Rangers later down the line in the first season? And I know that it's restricted due to the Sentai, but I feel like that's a better way to space out the Rangers and get all the Rangers development. Because like, let's say a season has 20 episodes, we can focus on the first 10 episodes on the first 3 Rangers, develop their characters a little bit, and then we get introduced to the other 2 Rangers who get the rest of the development for the rest of the season. And then for season 2, the 6th Ranger gets introduced and gets a lot of development. I feel like that's a better way and more efficient to do, rather than introducing 3 characters, 3 episodes later introducing 2 more characters. But that's just my opinion. That's how I would have done. I would have done it, and I might do it at some point in the future because I want to write a Power Ranger story. But I don't know if I technically would be allowed due to copyright. I guess if I don't call them Power Rangers, maybe it could work. But yeah, and for those of you who are confused by this statement, I am, in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, a writer. Even though I don't really get to write much because I focus too much on my YouTube channel, but I do enjoy writing, and I have been writing an ongoing story on Wattpad. It's called Dead Inside. It's a zombie story, very reminiscent of The Walking Dead. And if you're interested, you can check it out. I want to write a new chapter of it, or should I say new episode for lack of a better term, soon. So if you are interested in that, catch up on the 5 little stories that I've written so far, so you can expect the new one soon. And yeah, it's not like it's even long, it's just like 1500 words per, I don't know, per episode, let's call it. So it's not really that long, so I think you'll be fine. Check it out. But yeah, that's up to you. And as I said, if you want me to consider doing reactions to Power Rangers soon, comment down below. I have to see that there's gonna be a lot of demand, and I think that there's going to be a lot of demand, but I also don't want to overwhelm myself with stuff because people are already asking me for all the different cartoons that I'm reacting to all the time, and I already kind of space out my reactions to those series a lot. And adding another series is probably going to become too much, so at the very least I might start reacting to Power Rangers once I finish at least one of the current cartoons that I'm reacting to, which is most likely going to be Fullmetal Alchemist because it's the shortest one, but it's still probably going to be at least a few months at best. But yeah, what do you guys think about this episode if you watched it? If you didn't, go and watch it and share your thoughts down below. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe. Also, check out the description to my Twitter if you don't follow me there, and to my Wattpad where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you ever join my stories or you simply join my videos, you can head over to Patreon where you can pledge your support and help get the channel going, support me so I can keep writing the stories you enjoy. But if you don't want to do it, that's completely fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing, and especially sharing this video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I think it's pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!